All right. Okay, here we go. It's 90 ESPN's 30 for 30 hour, wherever it is, my 98 for 98. The 98 seasons in the history of the New York Football Giants. Try to get it done in 98 days. That's probably not going to happen. However, we're going to get it done by the beginning of the season, which starts September 10th against those Dallas Cowboys. And we're coming to the end here, folks. Coming to the end. When the wild and woolly, this season was crazy. Not crazy good, just kind of crazy bad. A lot of reasons. The wild and woolly 2017 season, which just happened to be the 93rd season in the history of the New York Giants. 93rd season in the history of the New York Giants. 98th season in the history of the NFL. NFL started in 1920. Giants started in 1925. The Giants are 5 years younger than the NFL. So I meant in 2 seasons, 2019 would be the 100th season in the history of the NFL. But this one, this one here, it was just overall just an absolutely horrible season. It showed that Ben McAdoo was not really coaching material. Injuries, to key players. Odell Beckham Jr. Running game was not special. And of course, then there was the benching of Eli. Well, they for one game put Geno Smith in there, who, as we saw last season, right, with Seattle, give him the proper coaching, the guys around him and all of that, he can be a capable quarterback. And the one game they put him in to start was in Oakland. He did a decent job. He did not really have weapons. I think it was 24-17. They lost to the Raiders. He had 1 touchdown. I don't think he had any interceptions. It's a decent job. But as we're going to see, they didn't have much as far as weapons. So he did as best as he could. As we saw last season with Seattle, he was a capable quarterback. Now I can also see, because the John. Let me see here. I forgot. So let's see here. The Giants had a record of they were 2-9, right? They just lost to the Redskins 20-10. The offense really wasn't doing very well. I said once again, we really didn't have a lot of weapons. I said we'll go over that in just a bit here, but so the Giants had just lost 20-10 on the road to the Redskins. Excuse me. When they lost, they had a grand total of 7 first downs. They had 170 total yards of offense. Let's see here. Eli Manning was 13 out of 27 for 113 yards, 1 interception. He got sacked 4 times. We just did not have, it was just not a good game, to say the least. And Jack Rabbit Jenkins, Janoris Jenkins, scored the only touchdown in the game. It was a 53-yard interception return. So I wound up tying the game at 10 late in the third quarter, but then the Redskins scored 10 points in the final quarter to wind up winning the game 20-10. So it was a game the Giants offense didn't even score a touchdown. 2-9, right? And their offense couldn't even score a touchdown. And the Redskins were 5-6. So the Redskins were 4-6 going to the game. So the Redskins were not a phenomenal team. But after we went, I forgot about this. This was the Thursday night game too. Forgot all about that. But after the Giants lost, they were 2-9. They were not going anywhere. And what you're supposed to do as a coach, understandably so, is you're supposed to find a solution, right? Sometimes bringing in the backup quarterback, sometimes gets a spark, fires everybody up. maybe the backup quarterback can get something that the starting quarterback can't. So he tried. So in one respect, I can understand. The other thing was that it was Eli Manning had his long consecutive streak going, and he snapped it. And I think even John Mara said, had he known, or I think if he had to do it all over again, I think he would have prevented it from happening and everything. It was just a horrible season. And then basically after that, as we'll find out in Wikipedia, excuse me, Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese got let go, which wound up working out good because basically what you want to do is you want to bring a GM in, if you can, with and have him bring his own guy in or bring somebody of his choice in. But of course, the GM they brought in and the coach they brought in were mistakes, as we'll find out tomorrow. But Jerry Reese was, he was not a great GM. He did not draft well, did not develop a good team, and the team suffered greatly. And Ben McAdoo was not the right coach for the job. So, excuse me. With the 4 games left to go, they were let go, and the Steve Spagnuolo took over, and he was the interim coach for the Giants for the final 4 games. But let's take a look. How did the preseason start for the Giants in the 2017 season? 500, not too shabby, right? They opened up against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home on August 11th. They lost 20-12. The following week, on August 21st, against the Cleveland Browns, they played in First Energy Stadium, which was in Cleveland. They lost 10-6. Then the following week, they played their annual game. Actually, they're pretty much their always annual game against the Jets, and then their 4th game was against the Patriots, right? So the 3rd game, they were the home team against the Jets, August 26th. They would win 32-31. Very good game. Very good game. So now the Giants are 1-2. So the final game of the exhibition season, right, preseason for the Giants was on August 31st. They were the away team, so at Gillette Stadium, they played the Patriots, and they won another exciting game, 40-38. Wow, very exciting. So the Giants finished up 2-2. All right, so let's see. What does Wikipedia, and they got quite a bit to say about the New York Giants. Let me tell you what, this 2017 season. This was, All right, here. All right, so bear in mind, bear with me here. We got a few paragraphs to read here. Let's see. The 2017 New York Giants season was the franchise's 93rd season in the history of the National Football League. The 8th season at new MetLife Stadium, right? And the 2nd and final under head coach Ben McAdoo. Coming fresh off of 11-5 season, I'll tell you, things really, after that 11-5 season, the defense looked good. There was, a lot of optimism. It's like, maybe we can continue on the 11-5, right? Maybe build upon it. Maybe go 12-4. Not even, well, actually, went the exact opposite way. It was not even close. What a major disappointment of a season. The Giants hope to win a Super after coming off the 11-5 season. The Giants hope, that's on Wikipedia, hope to win a Super Bowl and were expected to be playoff contenders by many critics. Well, as they say in The Water Boy, my mama's wrong again, isn't she? Huh? Oh, my goodness. However, things rapidly fell apart after key injuries, drama, and a controversial decision towards the team. An 0-5 start to start the season, their 2nd in 5 years, coupled with major injuries to the team, including star wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., had the Giants suffer a franchise worst 3-13 record. Also, Brandon Marshall, he was injured as well. He played in like 5 games. He was at the end of his career, but he got injured as well, too. Yeah, so we were supposed to have, like Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr., and Brandon Marshall out there. Not a bad threesome, right? But they all were injured. All got injured. Once again, excuse me. Maybe maybe in about an hour from now, I'll actually clear my throat. By week 10, after losing to the previously winless, oh my goodness, this is how bad it was. By week 10, after losing to the previously winless San Francisco 49ers, the Giants were standing at 1-8, their worst record since 1980. The Giants were eliminated for playoff contention on November 26th with wins by the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Seahawks, 3 days after their own loss to the Washington Redskins. I mean, this was just, they lost to the winless San Francisco 49ers. Let's see here. What was let me see here. They lost 31-21 to the 49ers. So after the game, let's see. So the Giants were 1-7 coming in, and the 49ers were 0-9. The 49ers were 0-9. And they won. They beat the Giants by 10 points. And actually, it was 31-13. The Giants scored a touchdown with a minute to go in the game to make it 31-21. So with about 2 minutes to go in the game, the Giants were down by 18 points to a winless team. I mean, it just goes to show you, it was just not. Oh, my goodness. It was just not the Giants season. All right, back to Wikipedia. On November 28th, it was announced that Geno Smith would start against the Oakland Raiders in Week 13, which snapped Eli Manning's 210 consecutive game start streak, the longest active streak in the NFL at the time. It started controversy with present and former teammates, opponents, fans, executives, and television and radio show hosts coming to Manning's defense. The benching of Manning also led to the speculation he would possibly join the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, which would reunite him with his former Giants coach, Tom Coughlin, who wasn't coaching him, but he was in their front office, who at the time was Jacksonville's executive vice president of football operations. With the move, the Giants became the last team in the NFL to start an African-American quarterback in at least one game. Wow. After losing to the Raiders by a score of 24-17 and with the Giants standing at 2-10, both Bob McAdoo and general manager Jerry Reese were fired, leaving Steve Spagnuolo as the interim head coach and Kevin Abrams as the interim general manager. These were the Giants' first midseason staff firings since the 1976 season. My goodness. They had Andy Robustelli back then was kind of like the director of operations or something. Like he was kind of like the quote unquote, kind of, as they say, the first maybe general manager the Giants had. And so he was the general manager in 1976. So he's kept his job. But exactly halfway through this 1976 season, Bill Arnsparger had the Giants standing at 0-7. They just got throttled at home by the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-0. Andy Robustelli canned Bill Arnsparger, which he wound up actually hiring. Okay. But he canned him and brought in the new head coach was McVay. So McVay coached the final 7 games of the 76 season. So halfway through, Bill Arnsparger of the 76 season got canned. However, that was not the first time that somebody for the Giants was let go during the season. 1930, Roy Andrews was the coach. Roy Andrews coached the Giants from 1929 to 1930. Actually, we'll go over another thing in just a minute. But during the regular season, right? During the regular season, with 2 games remaining in the 1930 season, Roy Andrews was let go, and Benny Friedman coached the final 2 games for the Giants in the 1930 season. That was during the regular season. Allie Sherman was let go after preseason in the 1969 season. Alex Webster took his spot, but Alex Webster coached the entire regular season. Ali Sherman coached the entire preseason. So we're talking in the middle of a season. Okay, this would be the third time Ben McAdoo was let go. Would be the third time. 1930, 76, and 2017 were the three times during the regular season where their Giants head coach was canned. All right, let's see. Manning was then renamed the starter for Week 14 game against the Cowboys. Shocker here. A 30-10 loss to the Cowboys in Week 14 dropped the Giants to 2-11, surpassing the most losses in the Eli Manning era. They had 10 losses a few times, but they never had 11, and they were going to get more. Don't you worry about that. More losses were on the way. This was a super spectacular season for a New York Giants fan. Let me tell you what. With a 34-29 loss to Philadelphia in Week 15, the Giants tied their single-season loss record with 12. But I mean, also it was because the other times they had 12 losses. They 1966, they only played 14 games. In 1974, they had 12. They were 2-12. They only played 14 games. So this, season they ended up with 13 losses, but they played 16 games. Now in 1966, when they were 1-12-1, if they played two more games, perhaps they 1-12-1. Quite possibly they would have lost both of them. So they might have been 1-14-1. The New York Giants in 1974 finished 2-12. They only played 14 games. Had they played two additional games the way they played in 1974, they might easily have lost both of those games too. So they could have possibly finished 2-14. But the reason why those two teams only had 12 losses because they only had 14 games. This team here finished with 13 losses, but they played 16 games. All right, let's see. And after a 23-0 loss to Arizona, 23-0 loss to the Cardinals. I mean, in Week 16, the Giants fell to 2-13, setting a new record for most losses in a single season in franchise history, eclipsing the record of 12, which had been done 6 times in the franchise history. But, as I said, that they did it in 66, 74, 83, 03, 19, and 17, right? So they had that many losses. But as I said, that in 66 and 74, they only played 14 games. Had they played 16 games in those two seasons, quite possibly, at least one of those seasons, they would have probably wound up with 14 losses, and they would have had it. That would establish the benchmark for losses for the Giants. But because they, only played 14 games in 1966 and 14 games in 1974, they only had 12 losses. But so there was 12. They lost 12 times, 12 games, 6 other times: 66, 74, 80, 83, 2003, and 2019. So, man, bad records. And the worst under a 16-game schedule format. And in their last game, the Giants defeated the Washington Redskins to ultimately finish the season 3-13. Oh, my goodness. The 3-13 record was the worst record in a 16-game season in franchise history. Their worst. But, I mean, they were 1-12-1 in 1966. That's the worst record in Giants history. I don't care if they 13 losses. They had 3 wins. The 66 team was 1-12-1. The 73 team was 2-11-1. The 74 team was 2-12. Those teams were worse than this team was here. Right? They were bad. Let's see here. The worst record, obviously, in Eli Manning era, and the worst record since 2003. They finished last place in the NFC East for the first time since 2003, and second worst in the league behind the Cleveland Browns. The Giants also went 1-11 against the NFC, and in 2017, and 1-5 against the NFC East in the process. The Giants acquired the second overall pick in the 2018 draft, and we all know we took Saquon, right? So wasn't all that bad. And on December 29th, just before the new year, right, 2017, Dave Gettleman, oh my goodness, was hired as a new general manager for the team. Gettleman quickly addressed the offense line issues with which led to the release of offensive tackle Bobby Hart and the benching of 2015 first-rounder Ereck Flowers. Flowers started all games to this point, being the only consistent starter on the offensive line. Well, consistently bad. But Bobby Hart also, they released him. I think there was something along the line. I don't remember exactly, but I think he was like injured, or they thought he maybe could have played and he didn't want to play, or there was something. He did something. He said something or didn't want to play or something along those lines. And I think that that's why Gettleman wound up letting him go. But Ereck Flowers was, once again, it was just where he got picked. He got picked number 9 overall. He was not a first. Could he play in the NFL? Yes, he could. Could he play tackle and guard? Yes, he could. Was he a first rounder? Absolutely not. Was he probably a day 3 pick? Yeah, probably. 4th round, 5th round pick? Yeah. Yep. But first round, number 9, holy cow. What are you smoking, Jerry Reese? And then he took Eli Apple in the 2016 draft. Once again, Eli Apple. Can he play cornerback in the NFL? Absolutely. Is he, can he put him out there and start him? Sure. He's not going to have maybe the greatest stats, but sure, absolutely. Or could it be some quality depth? Absolutely. I just don't like the guy's attitude, his mouth, and all that stuff and everything. But, pick number 10 in the NFL draft? Absolutely not. That is a swing and back to back swings and misses in the top 10. That's just, but that's what Jerry Reese did. All right, so let's go now. What was the Giants draft like here? Well, we had some, once again, we had some kind of mixed here. Of course, the first overall pick, this would wind up being, Jerry Reese's final draft. You can say okay to some of these picks, some of them a little not so okay, but he took Evan Engram with pick number 23 overall. Now, they were trying to help the offense because the Giants really didn't have a major threat at tight end. They had Odell Beckham Jr. We had Sterling Shepard, right? We had brought Brandon Marshall in. But, so we had a couple wide receivers. We needed a good threat at tight end. He wasn't much of a blocker, but he was, we didn't know he was going to drop the ball or have balls go through his hand. And, of course, every time the ball went through his hands, it went right behind him. And, of course, there was a defensive player standing right there to pick the pass off. So we didn't realize, he had butterfingers, but he was certainly a threat. He was a mismatch, not of epic proportions, but he was certainly a mismatch. Look, he had a very good season last season with Jacksonville. Now Peterson, the coach of Jacksonville, does a very good job with his tight ends, gets them involved. All right, so that's why he got Evan Engram. Evan Engram had a very good season last year with the Jacksonville. What did he have? He had 73 catches last year for Jacksonville. His highest was the Giants was 64, which is his rookie season. 64 catches, 722 yards. Right? He had 6 touchdowns his rookie season. So, could the Giants have drafted better? Yeah. Could they have drafted worse? Yeah, I think so. But, he was a mismatch. And I said, look what Peterson did with him last year. He wound up with over his most catches ever, right? So if you get a good-minded, offensive-minded coach and this, that, and the other thing, right? Maybe he could. As I said, Would have been interesting to see if Ingram was on the team last season, the Giants team last season, with Kafka and Dable thinking stuff up, maybe what he could have done. Second round pick, very, very good pick. Love them. Love me some Dalvin Tomlinson. Love me some Dalvin Tomlinson. Not much of a pass rusher, but, when you put him in the middle there, for a little while there, you had Leo the Lion, right? Before we let him go. Let's see, because he played his 4 seasons out, and they did, as they've done so many times with defensive tackles, basically since Cornelius Griffin in 2000, there was probably 4 or 5 guys go from Cornelius Griffin all the way up till Dalvin Tomlinson, probably 4, 5, 6 guys, defensive linemen or tackles that they took in the first or second round that played like 4 years, played the contract, and they just let them go. Good quality guys like Hankins was the same thing a year or 2 prior to this. Drafted them first, second round, right? Played their contract out, and they just let him go. They never re-signed the guys. Well, it was the same thing with him. He played till 2020. His final season, I think we had Sexy Dex. Well, actually 2 seasons. He was with Sexy Dexy and Dalvin Tomlinson. And I think in 2020, that's when we got Leo the Lion, I think. So we had Leo the Lion, Sexy Dexy, and Dalvin Tomlinson. What a nice threesome we had. It just the problem was they didn't want to pay Leo the Lion, and they got Sexy Day. Was making a decent amount of money. He was a first round pick, but they didn't want to re-sign Dalvin Tomlinson. He was very good against the run. He was a very good athlete. Wasn't going to get what did he get here? Yeah, I mean, he had 8 sacks for the Giants in his 4 seasons. Right, you're not going to get much. His final 2 seasons, he had 3.5 sacks and 3.5 sacks, but he played every game. 16-game season he played. He started and played in all 16 games, all 64 games for the Giants. Never missed a game. They didn't want to re-sign him, and it was like $10-11 million. They didn't want to spend the money to keep him intact. Could you imagine him like Dalvin Tomlinson and Leo Lion and oh man, Sexy Dexy, and you get Nunez Roaches maybe and Ashawn Robinson. Oh man, what a line we'd have. Once again, good pick, good, love Dalvin. But once again, somebody got signed, drafted, they played their contract out, we just let them go. You can't build a team drafting guys and letting them play a couple years and just letting everybody go. You can't build it, and that's what he did. We didn't re-sign. We didn't re-sign. Let me go back over here. We didn't re-sign any of these guys. None of these guys. Not one of these guys got re-signed. Right? Evan Ingram played his contract out, let him go. Dalvin Tomlinson played his contract out, let him go. 3rd round pick, we're a little familiar with, Davis Webb. He played with Buffalo and he played with the Giants. He played 1 season for the Giants. 2022. Right. The last game of last season against the Eagles. Right. That was his one. I don't know if he played. Did he play anything with Buffalo? He played 2020 with 2021 with Buffalo. He got into 1 game. He didn't throw anything, no passes. But he got into 1 final game of the regular season last year, 2022, for the Giants. What was he? He was 23 out of 40, 57.5% complete, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions against an phenomenal Eagle team. Basically, we had our 2nd stringers in there against the Eagles' 1st stringer. We only lost 22-16 to him. So Davis Webb, and he had a running touchdown too. He ran over a defensive back getting into the end zone. Right, he just ran him over. So Davis Webb threw, and actually Davis Webb completed the only touchdown pass to Kenny Golladay. The years that Kenny Golladay called 1 touchdown pass. It was against Darius Slay against the Eagles, right? So Davis Webb, a very good backup quarterback, good backup quarterback. But on the Giants, he was the 3rd stringer because he was behind Daniel Jones and Tyrod. So he was the 3rd stringer. But now, best of luck to him. He's out and coaching now, so best of luck to him. But, That for a third round pick, he's not a starting quarterback, but he can maybe give you some backup reps. So that wasn't such a bad pick. Not such a bad pick in the third round, right? But once again, he only played one season for the Giants. Fourth round pick. I love me some Wayne Gallman. We're not talking, Jim Brown. We're not talking Barry Sanders. Fourth round pick, decent pick, right? He played. Was it 4 years for the Giants? Yeah. And then, unfortunately, then he only played one more season. And his career was over. So he played 4 seasons for the Giants. Once again, played out his contract. Just let him go. You can't build a team that way. I mean, of course, I'm not coaching him or nothing like that. I get that and all that. So it's because when he got let go, it was the Joe Judge era, right? He was played for Joe Judge because, he got drafted in 2017, right? So unfortunately for him, right, he played under 3 coaches. Actually 4, if you want to. He got drafted in 2017. So he played under McAdoo, Spagnuolo, Shermer, and Judge. 4 coaches. Well, I said, unfortunately, after his contract was up, after 2020, Joe Judge was the coach, and quite possibly might have been like, that's not my guy. I'm not going down with the ship with that guy. I want somebody else. So, Perkins, got let. Same thing with him. Same thing with Gallman. We had some decent, capable running backs. We just draft them. They play a couple years. We just let them go. Same thing with Wayne Gallman. I mean, his final season in 2020 with the Giants, he had 147 carries, 682 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. I mean, hello, not too bad, right? And we were not a good team, and he averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He had 21 receptions. Actually, his rookie season, he had 34 receptions. So, I mean, a capable running back. Once again, draft them, played 4 seasons, they're gone. All right. I like Wayne Gallman. I think he had some fumbling issues though too. That might have been a problem. Could be wrong about that, but I think he might have some fumbling issues. All right, then we took a defensive end. All right, this 5th round pick, so it is what it from Youngstown State. Avery Moss. He only played a couple seasons here. He played 1 season with the Giants in 2017. He missed 2018, and then he played 2019 with Miami, and his career was over. So, but once again, it was the 5th round pick. You don't always hit on your 5th round picks, but once again, you like him to play at least a little longer than 2 seasons. But they drafted him. He played 1 season for the Giants. Then they traded. Now here, this one here is kind of a kicker here, good, because they traded away. They traded up for Adam Bisnowaty. He played 1 season in the NFL. He's from Pittsburgh. He was a tackle. I mean, he played here, according to Pro Football Reference. He started 1 game at tackle for the Giants. Played in 1 game for the Giants. They traded up for this guy. Played in 1 game. Now, I don't know if he got injured or exactly what it was, but he played in 1 game in his NFL career. The Giants in the 6th round were picking the 23rd pick in the 6th round. Apparently, for whatever reason, they wanted this guy, Adam Bisnowaty. So they went from the 23rd pick in the 6th round up until the 16th pick. They went up 7 spots in the 6th round, and they wound up trading with the Titans. It's a long story. That actually was the Colts pick. Then it went to the Patriots. Then it went to the Titans. Then the Giants traded up, and then it went to the Giants. So 4 different teams had the 16th pick in the 6th round of the 2017 NFL draft. But anyway, the Giants, with that pick, they took Adam Bisnowaty, right? They traded away their 6th and 7th round pick to move up the 7 spots to grab a guy who played 1 game in the NFL. Once again, another great draft pick by Jerry Reese. I mean, ugh. And you just wonder why we have horrible teams, horrible drafting. I mean, the guy just did not know how to draft. I mean, as I said, he might come up with, a good one here or a good one there or something. But a lot of times, when he had good ones, we never signed them. And then, of course, like a lot of his later picks were just misses, absolute man. And you got to hit on some of them. It can't have to be all of them, but you got to hit on some of them. You need the back end of your roster to have those picks. I mean, those guys with the fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth round and all. You got to have some guys on there to make $1 million. I mean, you can't, just, So thank goodness they got rid of Jerry Reese. They cleaned house. Unfortunately, they brought in Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman took a lot of swings. I mean, he missed 9 out of 10 times. He would, hit a home run. You know what I mean? He drafted Andrew Thomas, right? He drafted Daniel Jones, drafted Saquon. We can go a few guys he drafted. So he had some he had some good draft picks there. He also had some misses as well. So he did get us Leo the Lion. Right, so we go. I'm not going to go over all his picks and everything like that, but he drafted some good picks for us. Okay, but all right, let's see here. So let's go here. And let's go over the Giants. Oh my goodness, their season here. Let's go over this debacle here, shall we? All right. Okay, so let's see. I mean, their offense was putrid, absolutely putrid. They scored average 15.4 points a game, which was 31st out of 32 teams. Their defense was 24.3 points per game, which was 27th in the league, right? But once again, it's the theory of relativity. Everything's relative, right? If you have a better offense, your defense is on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid. The defense is on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid. How many points are they giving up? None. Unless Eli's throwing pick sixes, of course, which he's done before, right? But other than that, right? If your offense is capable and staying on the field and churning up the clock, and all your defense is on the sideline, not giving up any points. So basically, and once again, it wasn't all basically the offense's fault. There were injuries, okay, which we'll go over in just a second here. Eli Manning was 61.6% of his passes. 3,468 yards. He did miss the one game, so he would add probably about 3,700 yards passing, somewhere around it. He had 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, nothing super spectacular. And, of course, Geno Smith was 21 out of 36, 58.3. He had 212 yards passing, and he had one touchdown in the Raider game, and he had no interceptions. Right? Very capable quarterback, but was he the answer? No. But and one way I can understand what, Ben McAdoo is like, I need a spark. We're doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result, and it's not happening. So I got to try to do something. So he tried Geno Smith. Unfortunately, snapping Eli Manning's streak was just a bit too much. All right, so Orleans Darkwa led the team in rushing. 751 yards. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry. The Wayne Train Gallman, 476 yards. He averaged 4.3 yards a carry. Shane Vereen was still with the team, 164 yards rushing. He averaged 3.6. Paul Perkins, he had 90 yards rushing, but he had 41 carries. He averaged 2.2 yards a carry. Not very good. Let's see here. Now, the receivers, okay? We had Sterling Shepard, who had 59 catches, which is not too bad, but he only played in 11 games, so he missed 5 games. Orleans Darkwa had 19 catches. Wayne Gallman had 34 catches. Shane Vereen is very good out of the backfield. He had 44 catches. All right? But as I said, a lot of the problems was the receivers. Sterling Shepard, 59 catches, but he only played 11. He missed 5 games. Let's see here. Tavares King, he had 18 receptions. He only played in 8 games. Evan Ingram, he had 64 receptions at tight end, something the Giants needed. So now we have somewhat of a capable tight end, if you want to call it that. He did have some dropsies. He weren't going to get much out of the blocking with him, but he missed a game. And of course, Odell Beckham Jr. He had 25 catches, and he only played in 4 games. And he only started in 2 games, and he had 25 receptions. I mean, he just, I mean, the way, I mean, he would have had well over 100 receptions if he played all 16 games, but he only played 4 games. Khalif Raymond, another wide receiver, he played in 6 games. Roger Lewis, he had 36 receptions for the Giants. He played in 15 games. Rhett Ellison, remember him, tight end, he played in 16. He had 24 catches. Brandon Marshall only played in 5 games. He had 18 catches. He got injured. Sterling Shepard got injured. Odell Beckham Jr. got injured. Jarrell Adams, he was a tight end for us. He had played 16 games that season. He had 8 catches. Travis Rudolph, remember him? He had 8 receptions. Hunter Sharp, I don't even remember him. He had 5 receptions. Darius Power, don't remember him. He had 2 receptions. So, I mean, we had a lot of guys catch balls and all, but I mean, the main guys, especially, I said, thank goodness we got Evan Ingram, right? I mean, because he led the team in receptions with 64. But I mean, if Sterling Shepard wasn't injured, if Brandon Marshall wasn't injured, if Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't injured, we'd have a more powerful offense. We would have scored some more points. But when your wide receivers are down, it's tough. And the Giants found the sledding very, very tough. Let me tell you what. Kicking win, Aldrich Rosas, I think it is. Of course, then we wound up, getting rid of him. But for this year, he was on the team. Aldrich Rosas. He was not too good. 18 out of 25. He had a nice, strong leg, but he only kicked 72%. He was 20 out of 23 on extra points. Once again, he had a very, very good leg. Jeff Beagles really seemed to like him. He said he was a generational talent. We had a very strong leg. Generational talent, but unfortunately, the Giants never got a really chance, I guess, to see that. So he was 18 out of 25 kicking field goals, which is not good at all. He missed 2 field goals from 30 to 39 yards. And let's see here. Wow. He was from 40 to 49 yards. He was 4 out of 9. Whew, that's atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Of course, we had Brad Wing, who, averaged 44.1 yards a punt. He had 9 touchbacks. He kicked 19 balls inside the 20-yard line, which is nothing super spectacular. Let's see, the Giants here, their defense only had 27 sacks. And what do we got here? The offensive line only gave up 34. That's not too bad, but the defense, just didn't generate a whole heck of a lot of pressure. Oh, let's see here. So, I mean, it was just injuries, not a good lineup. And that was the other thing is that, if you don't, restock your team, especially if guys get injured, if you at least have some good quality depth, that gives you a chance, a fighting chance maybe to win some football games. But I mean, if you got a star player and your cupboards are bare, I mean, you got like nobody behind him as far as good quality depth. When one of the top players gets injured, you put like one to be like a third stringer in there to replace him. You're asking for trouble. I mean, as I said, you can just see the records that we had with Jerry Reese. They just get worse and worse and worse. So, all right, let's see. Are the Giants? Do we have to talk about this season? All right. The Giants, what was it? One day they started 0-5. Yeah, it was just, they would like lose 5 games. They would win 1. They would lose 5 games. They would win 1. They would lose 5 games. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. All right. So the Giants lost to the Cowboys 19-3 in Dallas to open up the season. Then the following week at home, they played the Detroit Lions, and they lost 24-10. Then the following week, they traveled on the road, and they played in Philadelphia against the Eagles. They would lose 27-24. So at least that one was close. They scored some points, and the game was close. And, of course, and this just epitomized the season, right? The Eagles somehow scored 2 field goals in the final 51 seconds of the game. The Giants were winning 24-21. Aldrich Rosas kicked a 41-yard field goal with 3 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in the game to put the Giants up 24-21. So the Eagles got the ball, and I just can't even speak sometimes. How a team scores 2 field goals in the final 50 seconds of the game is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So the Eagles got the ball with 51 seconds. Now, I don't know, offhand, I don't remember, if they kicked an onside kick and they recovered it, that I don't know. That's possible. But, so they kicked a 46-yard field goal, and this is the other thing that pissed me off. They kicked a 46-yard field goal with 51 seconds left to go. Then as time expired, Jake Elliott kicked a 61-yard field goal to beat the Giants, 27-24. It just epitomized the whole season. The following week in Tampa Bay, the Giants lost 23-25. Another close game. At least they were, keeping them close. Let's see. Anything here? Yep. And once again, it just the whole season. As time ran out, Nick Folk kicked the 34-yard. The Giants were winning 23-22. Buccaneers got the ball, marched down the field. And with 34, with no time left, Nick Folk kicked the 34-yard field goal, gave the Bucs 3 points, and they won 25-23. So basically, the second game in a row, the Giants lost at the gun, 2 games in a row. Then the following week, the Giants lost to the Los Angeles Chargers. Once again, Eli Manning never beat Phillip Rivers. Every time he faced Phillip Rivers, I think it was 4 times they lost though. And this one here, the Giants were at home, and this one, the Giants were winning. And I remember this one. The Giants were winning 22-17, and now the Chargers scored 10 points. There were 4 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Nick Novak kicked the 31-yard field goal to make it 22-20. The Giants were winning. Then the Chargers got the ball back, and with 2 minutes and 58 seconds left to go, Melvin Gordon had a 10-yard pass from Phillip Rivers to put the Chargers up 27-22. So the Giants gave up 10 points in the final 5 minutes of the game to lose the game. Once again, basically the third game in a row, they had a lead in like the final 5 minutes, and they lost all 3 games in the final 5 minutes. 2 of them were as time expired. Just unbelievable. So they could have been 3-2, but now they're 0-5. Finally, by some stroke, actually, Denver, I think was, let's see, what was Denver's record here? I think Denver was good. No, Denver was 3-1. Okay. I thought they were a little bit better than that. But the Giants went into Denver and they beat the Broncos 23-10. Where did that come from, right? So now the Giants are 1-5. All right, here we go, right? Now, Giants are going to lose their next 3 games. They lost. These were just. This was just these. They lost to Seattle at home, 24-7. Then at home, the Rams, who were a good team, they lost to the Rams 51-17 at home. Just straight up, absolute. Unbelievable embarrassment. 51-17, you lose. Then the following week, as it said in Wikipedia, the Giants went to San Francisco and they lost to the 49ers, who were winless, 31-21. They were actually with a minute or 2 left to go in the game. They were down 31-13. They were losing by 18 points with about 2 minutes or so to go in the game to the winless 49ers. Then finally, the Giants in overtime, they beat the Chiefs 12-9. The Chiefs were a very good team then. Somehow the Giants defense stepped up. The Giants kicked 4 field goals. Of course, it was 9-9 going in overtime. The Giants kicked a field goal in overtime to beat the Chiefs, who were very good. The Chiefs were very good. They had a good record. I was positive of that. The Chiefs were 6-3 at the time. Then they lost. They were 6-4. But the Giants, who was it? Kicked a 23-yard field goal. Oh, and just to go to show you, okay, Harrison Butker kicked a 23-yard field goal for the Chiefs with 1 second left to tie it up to send it in. So that's the third game out of the past 5 with like either 1 second or no second. They either tied the game up or lost it for the Giants. Absolutely freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, but at least they won that game. Let's see. So now they're 2-8 after they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. then they would lose the rest of them and they win the final game. They lost to the Redskins 20-10 in Washington. So now the Giants are 2-9. Then, of course, McAdoo decided to make the change, put Geno Smith in, benched Eli Manning for just the one game. And so in Oakland, the Giants lost 24-17. Said Geno Smith did as best as he could with what he had, right? But unfortunately, the Giants, the team was just so bad. There was nothing he could do. And obviously, as you see, there's nothing Eli could have done either. Just the injuries, the depleted team from Jerry Reese's bad drafts. So there was nothing he could do. All right, but then after that, okay, with 4 games left to go in the season, Jerry Reese was fired, and so was Ben McAdoo. So now it's going to be a fresh start. Steve Spagnuolo took over. God bless him. Love the guy. He was our defensive coordinator when we won in 2007, and he's still winning Super Bowl rings. Good for you, buddy, in Kansas City. Hope you win a bunch more, brother. Good coach, good guy, good coach. So of course, then after we were 2-10, we lost to the Raiders. We lost at home to the Cowboys, 30-10. Then we lost a tough one at home to the Eagles, 34-29. I just want to see here. How did this one end? 34-29, and the Eagles. No. Okay, wasn't that bad. Okay. I just wanted to see, did the Eagles win on like the last second touchdown or something? No. Okay. So the Eagles beat us 34-29. So now we're 2-12. And of course, after we went on the road and played in Arizona, we lost. Let's see here. 23-0 to the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals were 7-8, and we lost, and they shut us out 23-0. I mean, now we're 2-13. So I mean, actually at the time, this kind of, I guess, seen that because Spagnuolo he coached the Rams back right after I think he left us our defensive coordinator. He tried to coach the Rams, and he had a horrible record coaching. So you can see he was not. Basically, he was not the answer, so he was not around as the Giants coach the following season. But we finally ended up the season at home. We beat the Washington Redskins at home. Final game of the season on December 31st, 18-10. Oh, my goodness. So the Giants finished the season 3-13. The Redskins were 7-9. Weren't too bad of a team. So, I mean, what just an absolute disaster of a season. All right, so let's go. What does Wikipedia have to say about the 2017 NFL season? The 2017 NFL season was the 98th season in the history of the National Football League and the 52nd of the Super Bowl era. The season began on September 7th, 2017, with Kansas City Chiefs defeating the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots in the NFL Kickoff Classic game. The season concluded with Super Bowl 52, in which the National Football Conference champion Philadelphia Eagles defeated the American Football Conference, New England Patriots, to win their first Super Bowl title and the 4th NFL championship in franchise history. The Eagles won in 1948, 1949, 1960, and 2017. Those are their 4 championships. For the second time since the league expanded to a 16-game season, a team finished winless in a full season as Cleveland lost all 16 of their games this season. For the second consecutive year, a team relocated to Los Angeles metropolitan area as the former San Diego Chargers announced their intent to do so in January 2017. This was the first time that the Los Angeles metropolitan area had 2 teams since 1982. But the Chargers relocated, went back to Los Angeles. They were in Los Angeles in 1960. In 1961, I believe that's when they moved to San Diego. They were when they were part of the AFL. This is the most recent NFL season to not have any regular season games end in a tie. Interesting. All right, so let's go to the playoffs here, right? Let's go to the AFC. Let's see. Okay, the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, right? 13-3. They won the AFC East. Shocker there. Buffalo Bills, right? 9-7. I believe Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback for them, right? So they were 9-7. They got a wild card. Pittsburgh Steelers with a record of 13-2, won the AFC North. Jacksonville Jaguars with a record of 10-6, won the AFC South. Tennessee Titans with a record of 9-7 got the other wild card, and the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs with a record of 10-6 won the AFC West. So we go to the playoffs. In the wild card round, Jacksonville beat Buffalo. Yeah, this goes to show you. I mean, Buffalo was just their defense was good, but it just goes to show their offense was not very good. They struggled against a good Jacksonville defense, very good Jacksonville defense. They struggled. Jacksonville won 10-3. I remember that game. It was just like it was almost like watching paint dry, trying to get Buffalo, see if Buffalo could score any points. Right, that was a tough game to watch. In the other wildcard game, Tennessee beat Kansas City 22-21. So now in the divisional round, we got Jacksonville beat Pittsburgh 45-42. And New England beat Tennessee 35-14. So setting up the championship game is when Jacksonville had a 20-10 lead, I think, going into the fourth quarter, and they gave up 2 touchdowns. They had a fourth quarter on the road championship game, with a very good defense, and they were beaten, 20-10. They couldn't score any more points, and I think the Patriots scored. I think it was 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Patriots wound up winning 24-20. So, all right. So now we have the NFC West. Philadelphia Eagles with a record of 13-3, won the NFC East. Minnesota Vikings with a record of 13-3, won the NFC North. New Orleans Saints with a record of 11-5, they won the South. And the Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Falcons, they got the 2 wild cards. And the Rams with a record of 11-5, they won the NFC West. So in the playoffs, New Orleans beat Carolina 31-26, and the Falcons beat the Rams 26-13 in the wild card game. So now in the divisional round, Minnesota beat New Orleans 29-24, and the Eagles beat the Falcons 15-10, setting up the championship game, which was not much of a game. The Eagles beat the Minnesota 38-7, sending the Eagles to the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. I mean, it was a back and forth. I mean, the Eagles wound up winning. It was a very, very exciting game, 41-33. But I mean, the Eagles won, but I mean, their defense was an absolute freaking joke. I mean, Tom Brady he had 500 net yards passing. He was about 40 yards away from setting an all-time NFL record, and he did it in a Super Bowl. 500 yards against an absolutely pathetic Eagles defense. The Eagles defense gave up 613 yards of offense to the Patriots. They're lucky they won. Patriots had 29 first downs. I mean, it just the Patriots didn't punt at all. They didn't punt one time. The Eagles defense was so pathetic. They didn't punt one time. There was each team had 1 turnover. It was a very, very exciting game. But it was just the Eagles are very lucky they wound up winning this one. Let's see here. Yeah, with 9 minutes and 22 seconds left to go, Gronkowski caught a 4-yard touchdown reception from Tom Brady. With Gostkowski's extra point, the Patriots took a 33-32 lead. Eagles were not to be denied. With 2 minutes and 21 seconds left to go, Zach Ertz scored an 11-yard touchdown pass from Foles. The 2-point pass was no good, and the Eagles had a 38-33 lead. Then with about a minute later, the Eagles got the ball back with a 46-yard field goal by Elliott. The Eagles extended the lead to 41-33. Let's see here. Let's see, second half here. Pace the next drive, Eagles defend. Let's see here. Brady reached the 49. Okay, here we go. Elliott then kicked a 46-yard field goal, putting Philadelphia ahead by 8 points, 41-33. New England needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie the game and set it into overtime. After 9 plays, one of them a 13-yard catch by Amendola on 4th and 10, Brady reached the 49-yard line, and then with only 9 seconds remaining, he threw a Hail Mary pass to the end zone as time expired. The pass was incomplete, and the Eagles won their first Vince Lombardi trophy in franchise history and their first league championship since 1960, ending the 3rd longest active championship drought in the NFL at 57 years. So, I mean, the Eagles, the Patriots got the ball back. Let's see. Actually, after the Eagles took a 38-33 lead, the Patriots gave up their one and only turnover, which wound up being very costly. The Patriots got the ball back after the Eagles took a 38-33 lead. The Patriots got the ball, and Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham stripped the ball from Brady on the drive's second play for the game's only sack. Sack, forced fumble, Eagles get the ball back. Eagles rookie defensive end Derek Barnett recovered the ball, allowing the Eagles to run the clock down to 1 minute, 5 seconds and force New England to use all the remaining timeouts. Elliott then kicked a 46-yard field goal, putting Philadelphia ahead by 8 points, 41-33 with 1:05 to go. So the Eagles were up by 5. The Patriots had the ball and were getting around close to their own 40, 45, 50-yard line, somewhere around there. They weren't way in their own territory. They weren't in the Eagles' territory. Somewhere around midfield, 40, 45, somewhere around there. And, so maybe they were moving, right? But the one sack with the forced fumble and the recovery by Barnett and then the field goal, they said they were able to run the clock all the way down to 1:05. The Patriots had to use up all the timeouts. So it wound up being very, very difficult. Kind of ended the way the 2011 Super Bowl ended, right? Because I remember Brady got the ball, or whatever it was, around midfield somewhere, and he threw a Hail Mary into the end zone, got tipped up in the air. Rob Gronkowski just missed getting it. But so basically the 2011 and 2017 Super Bowls ended up with Tom Brady throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone. But I mean, the Eagles were a very good team. They won. It is what it is. You take it. I mean, the Giants won. One of the reasons why the Giants won in 2007, a helmet catch, right? I mean, right? I mean, yeah, right. It's a win. It's a win. It's a win. The Eagles, I said, the thing is, they gave up over 600 yards of offense. Their defense did. I mean, absolutely pathetic defense. But at the end of the game, they won 41-33. They won. It is what it is. But it was a very, very, very exciting Super Bowl. Lots of points. What we got? 74 points. I mean, lots of yardage, lots of scoring, it was a lot of excitement. It was. But unfortunately for the Giants, they were visitors. Not visitors. They were sit home and watch the Super Bowl because they were 3-13. But unfortunately, now the Giants would wind up, of course, getting a new GM, Dave Gettleman. Of course, he would wind up picking a new coach, Pat Shermer. So the 2017 season was not very good, and the 2018 and 2019 seasons would not be much better for us New York Giant fans. So that pretty much wraps up the 2017 season for the New York Giants. I'll be back again tomorrow night with the 2018 season, the New York Giants, which just happened to be the 94th season in the history of the New York Giants. See you then.